this garden bed is where I am growing everything for homemade salsa, but this week we ran into some issues. Well, hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to be checking in on the progress of our salsa garden. So we'll be looking everything over, and then we're also going to take a look on the other side where I have some garlic growing, and that should be almost ready. So every day we're getting a little bit closer to some fresh homemade salsa. I cannot wait. So let's go take a look. So first let's check in on the progress of our plants. So it seems everywhere you look on this plant, there are just clusters and clusters of tomatoes. I am so excited. This is looking very promising. And then we also have more on this side. My goodness. Over here we have our big beef tomatoes here that are looking really yummy. Oh my goodness. And we have some cilantro. And our cilantro is doing very well, but I know it will soon bolt as soon as it starts getting into the hundreds. I have succession planted some seeds, and so hopefully that'll continue to keep our cilantro up and going. And over here we have our cherry tomatoes. Oh, and these are starting to form and look very nice. And then over here we have some San Marzanos that are starting to grow. Those are looking very nice. Oh my goodness, we have so many clusters of those as well. So all the tomato plants are looking really good. And then our pepper plants are starting to produce as well. So we have some serranos here. Look at that. So many serranos. And then we should be having some, let's see here if we have any jalapenos starting to form. Oh, we do. Look at that guy. Very nice. And then over here is our Fresno chili plant. I don't know if this guy has anything yet. Let's see. This one's starting to get some buds of some peppers forming there. You can see that. So no peppers on this guy just yet, but it should just be a matter of time. So I wanted to share with you guys what's been going on with a few of my tomatoes. Now this dark spot on the bottom of my tomato is called blossom and rot, and it's not a disease. It's actually caused by a calcium imbalance in the fruit. And so I had heard that adding Epsom salt can fix this, but actually after I did some research, it turns out that it can actually do the opposite. So because Epsom salt is magnesium sulfate, and while magnesium is helpful in some situations, it can actually compete with the calcium in the soil. So if you add Epsom salt when your plant is already struggling to take up the calcium, you're actually going to deplete the soil even further of calcium and make the problem a lot worse. So what I found out was the blossom and rot is actually caused most of the time from inconsistent watering. And so what I'm going to do is try to switch out my tomato drip lines from a 1 gallon emitter to a 2 gallon emitter to start with. And hopefully they'll get a deeper soak and absorb the nutrients that are in the soil up a lot better. And from my research, I found that tomatoes, they really like the consistent moisture, not the dry drenched cycle. So you don't want to let them dry out completely and then try to soak them. And I also noticed that one side of my raised garden bed seemed to be getting water just fine. And then the far end was actually drying out a lot faster. And even though I attempted to water it, at the end of the day, a lot of times when I noticed that it was dry, it was probably just not deep enough. And so something else that helps is to keep a layer of mulch around the base to lock in the moisture and help keep the roots nice and happy. Hopefully by making this switch, I can keep everything all nice and hydrated and also help keep the calcium flowing, and we'll be back on track for that homegrown salsa. Now I did find a few tomatoes that actually had some holes in them, which means that we're probably getting some kind of caterpillar. It could be tomato hornworm, which is those big green caterpillars, or possibly the army worms that are a little bit smaller and like to burrow into the tomatoes. But either way, we are going to be placing some mesh net bags just to make sure that we are doing everything we can to keep them protected, help them to continue to grow and ripen without any pests getting to them first. The key there is just to make sure that they're completely sealed around the tomatoes so that way they can't sneak in. Now, something that I'm kind of experimenting with this year is keeping my tomato plants upright and vertical. So I am using a lot of garden twine to help to support the plant. And then periodically I come through and I trim off any of the excess branches. And supposedly what this is going to do is help to improve airflow. And by keeping it upright and off the soil, it's also going to prevent pests and disease. So far, so good. Well, it's been pretty windy around here lately, and I noticed that on our big beef tomato plant, the main stem actually has a pretty significant crack in it. So I tried to attempt to fix it with a little bit of garden string, or garden twine, if you will, but I don't think that really was very helpful. And so what I'm going to be doing is using some sturdy stretch tie to hopefully help mend it. And this is supposed to expand as the stem grows bigger, and so hopefully this will do the trick to help us get through the season. All right, so it seems I have a little helper here with me. The area that we are focusing on is this guy right here. So let's see if we can get in a little bit closer. And we're just gonna open this guy up. Next, we are heading over to the garden to see if we have any fresh garlic to be picked. So a lot of these garlics are looking like they're pretty much ready. So I'm just gonna pull one up and just kind of see how that's looking. So let's go ahead and see if we can do that. Which one should I do? We'll try, this one's kind of flopping over, so let's go ahead and try that one. just going to kind of dig down a little bit. Actually, this one looks like it is really ready. Let's see if we can pull this guy up. They almost look like they grew a little close together. Oh my goodness. Wow, they got some massive roots. Well, there you have it. Woo! Look at that. I always get excited when I pull garlic. It is just the most funnest thing ever. We'll have to obviously clean the roots, and then we'll be setting these out to cure for the next few weeks, and hopefully by then they'll be ready to use. Well, I have to say it was super satisfying to be able to come out here and harvest ourselves some heads of garlic, and they smell amazing. Yeah, so we are just one step closer to making our homemade salsa, and if you have any recipes for me to try, send them my way. And that is all for today's video. If you like this content, be sure to hit that like button and be sure to subscribe. I hope I'll see you again on the next one. Bye!